Hey everybody, welcome back. I really appreciate you joining me. Today I thought we might go over a interesting topic. I think a topic that some people are maybe a little gun shy about or afraid of, purchasing a tractor that has got the DPF system on it. Maybe they're a little worried about that giving troubles, and understandably so. That was definitely a concern when I was looking into the tractor that I wanted to get. I am by no means a professional on this. I'm not a mechanic, or don't know all the ins and outs, and I may tell you something that's not exactly correct. If I do, I apologize, but I just wanted to tell you what I had experienced with this Kioti CK3510 as far as the regens go, and any troubles that I may have had or experiences that I've had, to just let you know. Just try to. It doesn't seem like there's a ton of videos out there about the regen stuff, but anyway, I just wanted to share my experience. This tractor is a 2021, so it's 3 years old now. So I've had a little time under the belt. I've got about 240 hours, which is not a lot, for that amount of time. But anyway, I thought I would at least share, the experience I've had with it. So as you know, if you're looking at a tractor above that 25 horsepower category, most of them anyway, I understand there may be some brands that have a different kind of system, rather than the DPF, diesel particulate filter. Going by the experience I've had with this Kioti, I'll have to say so far I've had zero problems with it. And you'll have to excuse me, I do have my little cheat sheet here. I wrote down some key points, being that I'm no professional for sure on this DPF system, but this is part of the, I guess, tier 4 regulations with the diesels. Trying to catch that soot or whatever and help the environment. I've got my other tractor, the Massey 1998 231. Of course, it doesn't have any of this, DPF stuff on it. So, but anyway, I think one of the things that I've learned, and this is from reading, watching other videos, and experience, is when you're working the tractor, I think most of these tractors are designed to work at a higher RPM. So I think the owner's manual says around 1500 or above. So I think if you keep that in mind when you're out doing work or whatever, I know and I'm guilty of it. You're not going to do that all the time, but I think the more you can do that, the less regens and stuff you're going to have, or less problems you may have with this filter getting clogged. The higher you run it, the less stuff there is to catch. So having said that, I'll show you one product, or a couple of products actually, that I use. Now, I'm not suggesting you use this on your tractor. This is just something I kind of did research early on and decided I was going to put a fuel treatment in my tractor. So there again, not suggesting anybody use this particular product or use what I'm using. It's just what I'm doing. But I think that this, from reading and stuff, if you use some kind of treatment, it does also make it burn a little cleaner. So there again, the mindset there is hopefully less stuff to be caught by the filter, less, regens and that kind of stuff. So I'll show you the products that I use. So right here, Power Service is the brand that I chose to use. There's two different ones there. You can see these bottles, 32. Let's see, the white one is a 32-ounce bottle. The other one's a 26. They'll treat up to 100 gallons of fuel, so it's not terribly expensive. I believe I got these from Walmart. I want to say they're 10 to 15 bucks per container there, so not terribly expensive. The one on the left, the clear diesel, is more of a fuel and tank cleaner. It's more geared to keep the water and the slime. I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you let diesel sit a long time, it'll actually develop a slime in the bottom of the tank. It almost looks like algae in a pond or something. But and it has a stabilizer in it. And then the one on the right, the Diesel Clean, it has a booster, and it also helps your injectors. Helps to keep them clean. You know, supposedly helps with fuel economy or whatever. But I've been using those practically since I, you know, got the tractor shortly. Maybe after the first 6 months or whatever, I started using those. And so far, I use it on both of my tractors. You know, I haven't seen any issues or read about any issues that they would cause. But anyway, that's what I do. You know, there again, not suggesting that anyone else use these products. So this tractor, and I'm sure most of the manufacturers out there that are, you know, above that 25 horsepower mark, have an auto regen system. I'll show you under the hood here in just a second the diesel particulate filter, and there's a differential pressure switch that goes across that filter that detects when that filter is, you know, becoming clogged. And so then, of course, the computer and everything on the tractor senses that. It feeds that information back to the computer, and it says, oh, we need to do a regen. So it'll, you know, you may be driving along and, you know, a normal work day or whatever, and you hear the engine kind of change tune. The first time I heard it, I'm like, uh-oh, something's going wrong here. But then after that change of tone there, within, I'm going to say, a minute, 2 minutes tops, the little regen light on the instrument panel comes on, and then you're in a regen situation. It's doing an auto regen. And as I said, so far it's been flawless with me. I continue to work. They definitely want you to keep that RPM above 1500. I may even say I'm probably around 2000 or so. I try to, you know, keep that in the back of my mind. And usually it's anywhere from 10 to 15 minutes. I believe the last one I timed it, I was like 12 minutes. So far this tractor, I've averaged about 25 to 30 hours. I've heard people, you know, that have gone less and a lot more. So there again, it just depends on, I guess, you know, the use for your tractor, the load it's under, how well you keep the RPMs up, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's been flawless so far. Now it does get super hot. I think it dumps a little more fuel to the engine, and you know, the exhaust, you almost smell sort of a burnt hot smell. You know, it's very distinct. You can tell when it happens. As I said, 10-15 minutes, and then all of a sudden the light will go out. The engine you know, goes back to a normal sound that you would expect, and all is done. All right, so right there, I'm not sure how well you're gonna be able to see this with the lighting, but right there, that big stainless steel canister is where the DPF filter is. And of course, you know, the exhaust comes out, goes through the filter, and then goes out the exhaust pipe. Right there on the left side, I'm trying to do this without getting grease all over me, right there is the little electronic sensor. And I don't know if you can see, there are two silver tubes that come off of that sensor. One is on the front side of that filter, and the other one is on the leaving side of that filter. So that's where the differential pressure is sensed. Kind of got a fair knowledge of that in the line of work I'm in, HVAC controls. We have similar sensors that sense differential pressures across pumps, you know, air handler, fans, and inside an air handler, you know, we sense before and after the filters. That way it tells the HVAC guy, hey, your filters are dirty, it's time to change them. You know, it'll create an alarm for them. So same principle. But anyway, that's the actual device that tells you if that filter's clogged. Now, I'm not 100% sure. I've read different things. Nothing that I have read specific on the Kioti. At some point, I think you'll have to have that filter either replaced or serviced. I've read some things, maybe like on Kubota forums and stuff, around 3,000 hours. I don't know if that applies to this tractor. I have no clue. If anybody knows any details about when you may have to have that replaced or serviced, please leave it in the comments. You know, I'm guessing if you got it replaced, you might be looking at, you know, possibly thousands of dollars. I don't know. I did read something about the cleaning process on some of them where it's like $400 to $500. So I don't know. That's something I'm just not. I guess maybe the next time I'm out at the dealer, I could pose that question. But if anybody knows, please leave a comment. Now, one other thing I would say you want to be cautious of. I haven't had this problem myself, but that's thanks to seeing some stuff in people, on other videos and reading some stuff in tractor forums. As you can see, right there, you've got the exhaust coming out of the filter right up there, and then of course we're dropping down right here. The most tractors I've had in the past, the exhaust went out the top. Got the little flapper on there to keep the rain out, but not the case here. So what can happen right there? Like I said, that thing is super hot, and you see with this loader down, let me see if I can get around here and show you a better. Right there, you've got that little isolator block there that holds the metal tubes for the loader hydraulics, and it almost lines up. I don't know if I can really show you that. Maybe you can see that right there, I'm not sure, but that's almost in direct line with that exhaust. So that exhaust is blowing out of here. Remember, you're at high RPM, so it's blowing a lot of heat. And I've seen where people have melted that block, because it's got a metal plate here, but the block itself is a plastic block. You got one on each side. You got some others up here. And don't get me wrong, those are nice, well-made brackets to hold those lines. But what I'm getting at is you want to raise that loader up a little bit. Whether you're out there working or whether you decide to just park it and let the regen process finish itself, unless they've changed that mechanism there, unless they've changed that to some kind of different material, you could possibly melt that. So just be cautious of that. And of course, over here on the instrument panel, you do have a regen button that's located right there beside the throttle. So that can force a regen or it can cancel a regen. So this is something you would need to look in your owner's manual. There are certain lights that would come up on the instrument panel. There's a label right here. I don't know if everybody's tractor has this. That bottom symbol right there, the little exhaust symbol with the dotted lines. There's a couple of different that can come on, that can flash. There's a couple of different levels of that it detects as far as the filter being dirty or partially clogged or whatever, and then they want you to do a park to regen if that occurs. So you can force it into a regen by pressing that button there. It tells you in the instructions, where to get the RPMs, and I think you press that button and hold it for a couple of seconds or whatever. Or, during the auto regens, of course, the little symbol like that top one there, the exhaust with the temperature, which is so far all I've had with this tractor after, 240 some hours now. I have, each time it has auto regen, and I've continued to work and run it until that process was over. I have not canceled any regens. I definitely recommend against that, unless of course you got a situation, an emergency or something like that, you can't wait for it to finish. Or I think they also recommend, due to the heat from that exhaust, if you get in a situation in a really dry field where you're cutting or whatever, and it's really dry grass and maybe it's tall up against the exhaust or whatever, you could start a fire. It gets pretty hot. So, my question is, and if any of you know this, if all is normal and you never cancel an automatic regen, and they all go through as they're supposed to, would you ever have a case that the light would come on and give you a warning to do a parked regen? Now, you would kind of think not. If the auto regens work and keep the filter happy, then you would think you would never have a situation to do a parked regen, but I'm not certain about that. If anybody knows any more details on that, please share it in the comments, and let me know in the comments if you've had any good or bad experiences with your CK series tractors or any of your Kioti tractors. I've read a lot of things online in forums and stuff, good and bad experiences with all different makes and models. That it's worked well, and some people have had trouble with it. So I think anything that's kind of like computer controlled and sensor controlled like that is always going to be a concern or a worry. It's like you don't really have control of it, so to speak. It's going to do its own thing, and I think it's kind of like that. I don't know. It's a pet peeve of mine. Like in the newer trucks and cars, the thing, you know, where it cuts off at the stoplight. I hate that. I really do. Yeah, and I know you can hit the button and bypass it, and I think you can even have your dealer to reprogram it or whatever, but I just don't like it. I don't know. Maybe it's just me being more of an old school guy. I just don't like it. Sort of same principle here. It's got its own brain. It's going to do what it wants to based on, you know, the input that it gets. So anyway, but like I said, consult your owner's manual, and it gives you a little more detail. And there are a couple of videos about you know, I think there's one that one of the mechanics at one of the dealerships did that's really good on kind of explaining that process. All right, well, I reckon that's going to about do it for this one. Thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you next time. Oh, don't forget to hit that subscribe. Thanks.